approvals and ratification. Yep. So ready when you are, Karen.
All right, we're good to go.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the mid-monthly Tribal Council meeting. Thank you for joining us. Call this meeting to order at 5:06 p.m. and call upon Councilman Armel to say our evening prayer.
Oh, hi, Pimona. Shanasia was good, but I say a few words. I'd like to ask you to watch over our veterans and our elders with the very good in this time of the end of this pandemic. May the soldier boys and girls come home, one mind, one body, one spirit. With our children, parents, and one in between. Pray for our third feathered by to relatives, and know that we're doing everything we can, being their voice, and also their best will as well. So with that said, we want to keep that day get you.
Thank you, Eric. Council, we have an agenda, and the addition I have under new business is the addition, we invited Robert Ironshell here to meet as an introduction. Are there any further additions to the agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move it, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second? Second by Louis. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 50600 or 500. 6246.
Maybe 6 if that's lower line.
All right, thank you. 600. The first item on the agenda are the approval of the minutes. We have the September. Yep. So 6-2.
Yes, it's 600.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
The first minutes are the September 29, 22 Special Tribal Council Gaming Commission meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second, Madam Chair.
A second by Kenny. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 600. The second set are the October 3rd, 2020 regular Tribal Council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Coley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 600. The third set are the October 5th, 2022 Oath of Office and Reorganization of Officers meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Eric. Do we have a second? Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection. Oh, Louis. That didn't make it in the minutes.
It didn't make it. All right.
All right. Okay, we don't have to tell Teresa to make sure she gets the quotes in there. Any further discussion? Objection. Motion carried 600. Number 4, October 11th, land meeting, enrollment update, and physical resources report meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move it, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Louis. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 600. The fifth set of minutes are the October 12th, 2022 CEO report meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
I move it, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection. The vote is 700, showing Vice Chair Chamberlain in at 5:10. Number 6, October 13, 2022 Tribal Council Orientation and Reorganization meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move it, Madam Chair.
Motion by Kenny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Rona. Discussion.
Question, discussion.
Foley.
Page 2, below the break, discussion, tribal council to be able to receive board stipends and increase wages. Was there any action or just discussion on that?
No, there was no action. The discussion actually started with the COLA that the tribal employees are going to receive, are approved to receive. And there was a discussion about the tribal council also receiving the COLA, and it moved on into discussion about board stipends and tribal council salary increases, and the discussion was broad and shared, support on both sides of the aisle. And we came to a point that we would think about having some type of tribal member hearing, or we didn't really come to a decision because some folks thought that it needs to be have input from the people. But we talked about the history of that and how in 2017 that by motion and not by asking of the people, Isaac and I reduced it by 10%. And I had said at the minimum, I would like to see the council's 10% restored at the minimum, because that wasn't an action of anybody. It was just the year that the tribal appropriations budget took a 10% reduction, the council took a direct hit to their salary to try to, mirror some of the loss. But it was a little unnecessary because nobody took a hit to their salary. It was just overall program budgeting. And so I don't know that it helped anybody, but in the spirit of, I guess, support and cooperation and sacrifice, that's what we did. So no decision has been taken place, and I think there's more to discuss when everyone is here to kind of provide input. And so that's where we ended up with that.
Okay, thank you. I know I brought up board stipends, that there was a motion made that tribal council does not receive or cannot anymore receive the board stipend. So I was wanting to change that to they can receive the board stipends only, if they're willing to donate it to, an organization or something like that. So that's
Okay.
all. So we can discuss that again when the time is right.
Okay, I think we agreed that we would discuss it again at the treasurer's report. Is that what we said? Okay. There was a lot of comments made and a lot of advocacy for what the tribal council should consider compensation, and that there's nothing devious about wanting to be compensated for your time. And so, and then there was some thought that that's double dipping, but if folks are going to donate it, that's a whole nother discussion. So look forward to that.
Yeah, strictly, I'm just thinking donating to, youth, adult, and whatever kind of organizations are out there in need. Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think it's an incentive that getting paid for going to meetings it's an incentive, but even beyond that, it's a good feeling to know that you don't take it and give it to one of our organizations. I think that goes a long way to letting people know, well, they're considerate of the programs that we have. I always thought that was a pleasure to donate mine to various programs.
Yep. Well, thank you for that generosity. And we'll keep, I guess, kind of finger on the pulse on the support and bring it back to the table with an idea on how to proceed. Any further discussion on that topic? Yep, we got a second. We got a motion. We got a second by Rona. This is on the 10-13 orientation and reorg meeting. Okay. Any further discussion? Objection. Motion carried 7-0-0. So that brings us to our ratifications. The first one is to approve a $500 food allowance to the family of one of our mourners, and that was from the Winnebago Tribal Council. So do we have a motion to ratify that 5 signature?
Motion to ratify.
We have a motion by Eric to ratify. We have a second by Louis. The second, any discussion?
Yeah, who is this person?
Her name was the late Melissa Zamundo, and she's the daughter of Lois Masquat.
Okay.
And so thank you to the tribal council for your generosity and compassion for the relatives during this time. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion? Motion carried 700. The third ratification is the tribal council sponsor meal, drum groups, and dancers for the NTAI event. We ended up sponsoring the meal and the drum group, and based on the feedback, we didn't end up getting any dancers. So I just want to strike that part.
Madam Chair, we forgot the second one on the tribal applicants.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Geez, I just jumped right over it. Thank you, Lorelai. Number 2, adopt resolution 23-04, tribal enrollment applicants. Do we have a motion to ratify?
Go ahead. Louis.
So moved.
We have a motion by Louis. Do we have a second to ratify resolution 23-04?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion.
Yeah, I have some concern that there's an article out there or a print that the individual that was on this enrollment committee that probably knows quite a bit about it says that they saw discrepancies in this list of people when that person went to vote and checked off the names of people. There were about 3 or 4 of them on there that shouldn't be on there. And the letter made it sound like the work isn't being done the way it should be at enrollment. I have a concern about that if that's the situation. Now, that may just be sour grapes too. I don't know. I would rather think that than that our enrollment is getting things wrong like this, because that kind of situation lasts a lifetime for some people. And there are some people that have been waiting on it for a long time to get it corrected, and it still doesn't get done. It's a real concern. I wouldn't know the individuals if I ran over them, but it's a concern.
Thank you for sharing that. I did see some email traffic asking for more information so that our CAO could look into it. So I'm not sure if it's these ones or if it's the one from the ballot, because are these the ones from the ballot? These ones I think are from our regular approval process. The complaint we received was in terms of the applicants that were on the ballot for voting. Is that these ones?
Madam Chair,
Yep.
okay, the individual said she thought there was a discrepancy on somebody that was on the adoption ballot. And so we asked her to tell us who the individual was, so the CEO and the acting enrollment director could look up and see who this individual is and look back in their records. But the CEO and the acting director looked at all of the adoption ballot individuals. They looked back before it even was presented to the enrollment committee. Then the enrollment committee looked at all of them again, saw that all was in order before they recommended them to the council to be approved for the ballot. So they were looked at twice and approved, first by the staff, then the tribal enrollment committee. And then when I asked the individual that was writing the complaint to tell us who it was so we could look up what her concerns are, she couldn't remember the name. So I said, we are unable to follow up on your complaint if we don't know who we're supposed to be following up on. So then she said, okay, thank you. And that was the end of it.
That's good enough for me.
Okay. So thanks, Lorelai, for that background information and kind of responding to that individual and sharing the concern that we want those to be accurate. And I hear you, Kenny. we can't have any inconsistencies, and it really hurts the relatives down the line. So I was doing some of the math on this.
Yeah.
So with that, is the table ready to ratify this, or would you like to look more into this?
There's some that aren't correct yet.
Yeah, but I mean, on here, when you go across this way and add up everything, the totals are incorrect. When you add stuff up and you do the totals aren't matching to what Winnebago and then other.
I think we should hold off on this and make sure that they're right. That way we know that what we're doing is correct.
Yeah, because it has a long lasting effect if it isn't right.
Okay.
Madam Chair, this
Yes.
list is not from the adoption ballot. This was a list that enrollment forwarded for enrollment even before the election.
Yes.
This
Yeah,
is not the adoption ballot list.
Okay, that was my question. Rona was saying that some of the calculation where they add the totals is wrong. So do you want to hold on to this to relook at that, or what do you guys want to do?
I'll send it back down to enrollment and have them double check everything.
Okay, so we do have a motion on the table and a second. Do you guys want to rescind your motion, or do you want to go through with the motion, Louis?
Motion, but
Okay, so Louis rescinds his motion. Coley, do you rescind your second?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to, so motion and second has been rescinded. Is there a motion to send this back to enrollment for double checking? I mean, the 5 signature passed and the ratification is what's in limbo right now. Would anybody like to make a motion to that?
Make that motion.
Okay, we have Eric motioning to redirect this resolution back to enrollment to double check the calculations. Do we have a second?
I'll include total Indian blood.
Yeah, that's where I think it's not adding up. So it shows the Winnebago, the other, and then it has a total.
I second it.
Okay, we have a second by Louis. Any further discussion? Objection. Motion carried 700. Thank you, council. The last did you have something, Lorelai?
No, I was talking to my great grandson, sorry.
Hi, Theodore. Okay. Our last ratification is the Tribal Council sponsorship of the NTI event. Once again, I'd like to thank the Tribal Council, our planning department, and all the partners that put their best foot forward for that celebration. With that, do we have a motion to ratify the Tribal Council sponsorship?
Since I wasn't there, I'll do my part and make a motion.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Do we have a second? Oh, we have a second by Brian. Thank you. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 700. So now we get to our new business, and I'd like to invite Mr. Robert Ironshell to come sit with us, and you can sit on one of the mics. And so, guys, as you know, I had sent an email. We had been talking about ways to improve communication, and we had heard a presentation from Garen recently, and we just talked about all the good things happening in the community, happening at Winnebago Comprehensive Healthcare System, and in an effort to try to build awareness and have the council be tuned in, we wanted to meet you. So it started with the emails, and then now we said, hey, and then they said, who's Robert? We're like, well, we'll invite him down. So Robert, I'll just turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I started at Winnebago Comprehensive Healthcare System in April of this year. So pretty recently, I work pretty closely with Emily Longusky, who's been doing communications there for the past few years. But a lot of what Emily and I do, they overlap a lot. But yeah, we just recently started including you guys in the emails. And
Do you want to introduce yourself? Like,
oh yeah,
where you're
my
from,
name is Robert
and
Ironshell. Sorry
where
about
you're
that,
from,
guys.
and-
Robert Ironshell. I'm from Rosebud. That's my tribe. But yeah, Yeah, if you guys ever have any like events or anything going on you need promoted, just get a hold of me. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying, the content that we been putting out at the hospital. So yep.
Would the council like to introduce themselves to Robert? I don't know if you know the entire council.
I don't.
Madam Chair, I'll start.
Okay.
Robert, I'm up here on the screen.
Okay.
I'm in virtual Indian country. I just want to tell you, welcome. And I worked as a public health nurse on the Rosebud Reservation for like 9 years. So I know a whole bunch of iron shells.
I can
Is that where you're from?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. But I say welcome, but one thing that I wanted to just bring up to you is first of all, any events that are put out in WCHS, we're not getting them over here. So like last week, we heard that when we hear those announcers outside, we know something's going on. So we're asking, what's going on down there? And there was a cancer walk, which we never got notification of over here under the tribal side. So what communication of events at WCHS go out, they need to come out over here to the WTN side so all our employees over here can participate. So I think I've asked for that twice and it just never happens. And I just think this is ridiculous. We're one tribe. Why does it take so much to try to get us connected when it seems to be so easily virtually? Okay, and then my second request is when you make, like if you make a flyer or something and you have individuals in the flyer, they should look like Indians. Some of those are not, I think, we gotta, whatever we're using as images, they need to look like us. So when you're using them, please use Indians or so it's an Indian, flyer. That's just all I'm asking. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Lorelei, for sharing that. Brian, while we're in virtual Indian country, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Brian Chamberlain. I'm Vice Chairman for the council. It's nice to meet you.
Then I guess we'll start back with Louis.
Louis Rose. Nice to meet you, Louis.
What's your grandfather's name?
Calvin.
Calvin?
Calvin Ironshell.
I know him when he was in Utah, 1950.
Yeah,
He's on the Golden Gloves boxing team.
yeah, he boxed. He did.
In the 4 o'clock. They boxed in the
Yep. It's
Salt Lake City.
really. I didn't know he was out there. Huh. Yeah, he's the reason I started
We were on the
boxing.
youth boxing team.
Yeah, he was a good boxer. Awesome.
I ran into him in Lincoln.
Yeah. He passed away in 2007, and I didn't get to learn a ton about him before he passed away. I wish I could have, but he did a lot, especially with boxing and basketball.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm Ken Mallory. Him and I are brothers.
Release. Nice.
Starting my third year.
You want to use your mic?
Starting my third year on council. But communication and, what happened in the past is the past and all we can do is look for the future. So, and thank you for, including us in a lot of those emails recently, even after the first day, I've seen, all of those notifications coming through and, appreciate looking to see who the new staffers are also, new employees or, employees of the month or whatever. I've been seeing those. So I'm not sure what communication isn't totally coming through, if it's just the flyers and events. But
Yeah, I get sent a lot of things, so sometimes something might slip through, but for the most part, since we had our meeting about including you guys in emails, I feel like I've communicated all those events. It might have been something that we had planned like a month ago or so before we had that meeting, and it just kind of happened. But that might be what happened with that event. So
Well, welcome aboard.
thank you.
All right. Well, thanks again for being here, Robert. We met through some of our board interaction. I'm really happy to have you on board and to further support our communication. And we're always trying to do better for the tribal members. So wish you all the success.
Oh, good evening. Good to have you here. I like anything, communication is key. A lot of people want the tribal council to be places that it doesn't know of what's going on, and so we can't show up. And so with that communication, letting us know when there's an event going on, is greatly appreciated, because then out of 9 of us, one of us will at least show up instead of none of us, the way it's been. And so I look forward to, having the events conveyed through the communication of emails. And that's kind of something that hasn't really been done anytime recently. And to see that you're conveying to us, that you want to communicate with us, that's very reassuring, and I look forward to the future in that. And by the way, my name is Eric Carmel. I'm a member of this tribal council, obviously. So starting my 4th year. So we're all growing together in this, environment. So that's it. Thank you.
Hello, Robert. Nice to meet you, Coley Brown. I'm on the hospital board of directors too. It's a pleasure to meet you. Robert's a fast man. He won some gold medals in college in the 400 meters. So it's good to see you. Nice to meet you in person. Seen a lot of videos and read a lot of stuff on you. It was like meeting one of your fellow tribesmen, Robbie McDaniels, back in the. I read a lot about him, seen a lot of videos, and he ended up being my roommate in college, so it's kind of that feeling going on today. So nice to meet you. Welcome to the tribe to work with us. Thank you.
Thank you to the Tribal Council for your kind introductions. Robert, do you have any questions for us?
Nope. I mean, from here on out, every email I send out, I include you guys in on it. So I don't think anything's gonna slip through from here on out. So you guys know what's going on at the hospital.
Well, thank you so much. And we also really appreciate Garen Coons. He's really kind of spearheads the communication on our side, and we count on him. And so look forward to you guys growing your working relationship. And we just are really proud of our communication staff. So watching the WCHS communications team grow is only in the better for all of us. Well, if anything else?
Just a footnote about runners from up in that part of the country.
Yeah.
When I was going to Haskell, there was an Indian boy there by the name of Billy Mills. And there was a guy at Omaha named Joe American Horse. And they were always the highlights of Big 10 track, Big 12 track meets way back then. So I know some good runners came from out of there.
Billy came to Rosebud a couple of years ago, and we had a track camp. We held a track camp together for all the kids. So he's a really cool guy. A lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the year I went to Nebraska, Joe American Horse was running there.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. In that Big 8 championship, that was a highlight event. Them 2 Indian boys running against each other.
Yeah.
Really awesome, boy. It just does something to your adrenaline, you know. So.
From the distribution. Okay. Well, good stuff. Thank you, Robert. We look forward to visits, emails, and everything, and see you next time. Have a good
Nice to meet
evening.
you guys.
And congratulations on all your activities and training. Do you want to share that? Sharon shared a little bit that you're in training.
Oh yeah. So I do 2 sports. You mean like for sports?
Yeah.
I do 2 sports currently. I kickbox, so I fight on the side, and then I still train in track. So I train twice a week with the teams in Sioux City, and that's going really good. Every year it gets better. It's just as I get older, I get a little bit more prone to injuries. So it's really, at this point, it's just a point of avoiding injuries. But training, it's going awesome. I'm just as fast as I was, 8 years ago, which is cool. But just about staying healthy. So.
Well, thank you for being a positive role model for our community and Indian country.
Thank you.
When I was in
So should
Arizona,
square
I
up with
bought
Charisse? No.
a box of oranges, lemons.
A story never told about Winnebago back in 1959. Eagleton High School had 4 Indian boys up there that were in a mile relay. They each ran a 440. And there were 4 Indian guys down here from Winnebago that went to the state championship in Nebraska. 8 distance runners from here. 4 of them went to Nebraska and 2 of them went to Iowa. People don't know that kind of stuff. And
There's a lot of really good distance runners.
yeah.
Indian distance runners. I didn't really have any like sprinter like role models to look up to. You know, I read about like Jim Thorpe and all them, but like everybody was always a distance runner. So it was always kind of weird when I turned into like a sprinter. So there weren't a lot of sprinters in Indian country, so kind of broke the mold there. But yeah, still doing it.
Yeah, go on, and even Ruby Bellinger was one of the fastest women in the state of Nebraska.
Sweet.
Ruby Bellinger and Vivian Painter.
Awesome. Got some wheels.
I'll tell you
You mean
a story. I'll pull you aside. I don't want to brag about myself.
Next time when you go into the hospital,
Stories.
All right.
all right, guys.
Well, keep up the good work,
When you
Robert.
got time,
Have a good
You
evening.
got time.
Whenever you're at the hospital.
Nice.
See you, Robert.
Nice meeting you.
You can pick up speed, but you can't turn.
Straightforward.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. So we have no old business on the agenda. Under tribal council items, the first item is the Native American Faith Group donation request. And reading that for the membership's information, it's the Nebraska State Penitentiary and the Native American Multicultural Group. They call themselves the Native American Faith Group. And in the materials, there's a request and a estimation of their needs for the next, I'm not sure which period of time, but it's a total of $10,990.80. And they're not asking the tribe for the full amount. They're looking for support from organizations, individuals, the tribe that might help them fund the supplies they need to practice their culture and religious freedom while in incarceration. Did anybody want to comment on that or?
You used to work a lot with the people down at the penitentiary as far as providing them items and whatever they needed for sacred events. I don't know if he still is in line with that anymore. That's when Richard was down there and a couple of other Winnebago people.
So it doesn't name our tribal members specifically that may be in that institution, but it just names several tribes that it names Oglala Lakota, Sikanju Lakota, Isante Lakota, Dakota, Omaha, Winnebago, Ponca, Navajo, Apache, Choctaw, and Cherokee nations. Those must be the tribes represented right now.
At that time, we were under Public Law 280. And a lot of our tribal members were railroaded into the system. So the system was quite different. There were a lot of Winnebagos. I know Emmett Walker took us down to penitentiary to play softball one time. All the inmates. God, there was a lot of relatives down there. A lot of Omahas. So the warden, the game was over and the warden came up to Emmett and asked him to continue the ball game until every player got a chance to bat. He didn't do that. It would cause turmoil among the inmates. We played like a 20, 22 inning game to get all those inmates in there. But NARF came along and filed suit in one case where they had to allow Indian people to have religious freedom. You practice a sweat rock, sweat house. So we had a lot of Indian inmates, and we worked cooperatively with the prison, with the inmates, the Indian Commission. And we kind of all worked together, doing what we could to get them their supplies, whatever they needed. This is kind of looked like they're building up again. They got the warden signature on here. I think we should put an article in the paper based on this letter asking how people give donations. And somebody like Richard Walker wouldn't put his name publicly in the document unless he wanted it. See if he could help with donations from the families. And I'd suggest we match them 1-to-1.
That's a good suggestion. Do you want to use your mic?
I was thinking the exact same thing you were, Louis, about, advertising that the community, support their family members and, allowing them to pray and become connected, with their spirituality while in prison. So, with that, I'd like to support Louis'. Is that a motion, Louis?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Louis to advertise this information and advocate for families to donate, and the tribe would match that collection of donations. And so we'd have to provide more of a framework, but that's the gist of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. We're in discussion. Eric.
No, there's already a motion, so I'll support it.
Were you thinking of just
I was gonna ask for $1,000 donation. There's 10 bands or 10 tribes that are listed, like you said. And if we all do 1,000, then that would kind of be pretty much most of the requests, except for the $995. And that's the gist of majority of the push for the request. And so as a tribe sitting at this table, that's what I was thinking of, was $1,000 from the table here. And all the other 9 bands or tribes, if they did the same thing, then that would pretty much answer that request. But there's already a motion.
okay? Well, it's possible that we might end up doing more than 1,000 based on the generosity of our membership.
See, they've always ended up doing more than our share. It's always been that way.
People pitiful as we are, something like this sentimental.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would support a motion to donate the 1,000 from the tribal council.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the table to advertise it and match. Let's finish this one and then we can entertain another motion. That doesn't mean that we still can't advertise it and get the match. So the motion on the table is to advertise and put some of this information, to share these materials with the Winnebago Indian News, and call to action for the relatives and our community to support this, and the tribal council would match those donations. Did I understand that correctly? Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Gary, is there any way that you could say that that challenge is coming from the council to do that?
They would send it directly. There's information. We'd have to put this information. We ought to talk about that. That's the kind of framework, because they do provide a place that you send it, and you have to be approved by. For a donation from $1 to $4.99, you have to be approved by the warden. For a donation from $500 to $10,000, it has to be approved at the director level. So it sounds like you have to be even approved to send money. Okay, so with that motion and second on the table, is there any further discussion?
So this motion that we make has to go to somebody in authority down there to say it's okay to do that.
No, Well, it depends on how much that's going to be raised.
Okay.
The different,
Levels of,
yeah.
approval that it has to get by.
Yes.
Okay.
So once we determine our money, then we would have to get it approved by
Okay.
most likely the
Call for
warden.
the question, Madam Chair.
Objection to the motion.
I have a question. I can't hear whatever was being said because I'm not there. So how does this work if Eric and I want to donate 1,000?
So we can still, so if this first motion passed, we can still advertise this and make the relatives aware that they have an opportunity to donate and that the council is willing to match that donation. And then Eric went further to say that he would like to give a direct donation. So I still think we can accomplish both of those things.
Okay, thank you.
So the first motion, any objection to the motion? Motion carried 7-0-0. The second motion discussed was to suggest putting a $1,000 donation to the organization called Native American Faith Group at the Nebraska State Penitentiary. Is there a motion to that effect?
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a
Second.
second? A second by Louis. Discussion. Objection. We got one objection. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand or signify by saying aye. Kenny, Louis, Eric, Coley. Those on the phone,
I'm on, yes.
opposed?
Did Brian?
Yes, he voted abstentions. 1. Motion carried 6-0-1. Thank you, council, for the discussion. Our last order of business is the tribal member.
Madam Chair, can you just tell me, I gotta be clear here. Yes was Kenny, Louis, Lorelei, Brian, Eric,
Coley?
Coley.
Ollie, okay.
One abstention, Rona.
Rona was what, no? or
Abstention.
abstain? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, council. Our next discussion item is the tribal member payout discussion. I'd like to thank the finance department and the enrollment department for all their efforts in helping our tribal member get this out. Council Vice Chair, did you want to comment on that?
Nothing other than the general statement that I shared with the council. In the communication that I had, the overall department load on what they've received back from the applicants is not anywhere near half. And so people out there that are listening to this meeting or need to spread that message, if your relatives want this payment, they need to return that application. These dates have came and went for the first round, so that money's basically sitting there if you didn't turn it in, and you need to get that done.
Good messaging, Brian. Thank you for kind of reminding the membership, and on behalf of the all the helpers, our notaries, everybody helping from every angle, I would just ask that the tribal members be kind. We've gotten much feedback that some of our tribal employees and tribal members that are doing this processing of the applications have been treated very harshly, and having somebody call and holler at you on the other end of the line is not encouraging. And we have to submit the documents that were requested to verify your membership and who you are. And so we just kindly ask you to turn those documents in and fulfill the requirements. And if you have any relatives that need any help, we'd be happy to help them fill it out. The notaries down here in tribal office, and just trying to get this processed on behalf of the people. But please, it's the Ho Chunk way to be good to one another, so please remember that. Did you have your hand up? Garen's got a message for us.
There is a report out there that somebody mentioned and messaged the tribe's Facebook page. There was, we call them pirates, phishing emails, click here, you're going to receive $1,000. Well, they received a call from somebody saying it's the Winnebago tribe. give us, we need your debit card in order to process your application. We're only going to take, a certain amount. It's a low amount, $5. That's going to pay for the postage and the application, and you'll get your $1,000. But what's happening is they're asking you for your debit card, and they're going to take off with it. So please, elders, the word is out there, and that this payment is coming to the Winnebago tribal members and stuff. So make sure that those do your diligence and stuff. I don't think the tribe or anybody from finance is going to ask for a debit card in order to send postage. So just wanted to make that kind of public service announcement.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that with us. And wow, so be very cautious of some of these phishing and predatory phone calls, spam as we call them. Anything else regarding that? Rona, did you anything you want to share about that?
Just be kind. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of extra work that our finance team is going through. When we should be closing out the books for the fiscal year, they're handling thousands of applications instead of getting ready for the audit and closing out our financial books. So it's been going on for since about 3 weeks now, and be kind. It doesn't take a whole lot to be kind and be thankful, for this free money that you're getting. So that's all I got to say is be kind. Thank you.
Madam Chair, one additional note is today, the ARPA coordinator directed our communications director to put it on the tribe's website that Tuesday, the 25th from 9 to 11 and Wednesday, the 26th from 9 to 11 is for senior citizens distribution, so that the seniors don't have to stand in line. So on each day at 11 till 7 will be all the other tribal members.
Great message. You conjured her up. Did you want to say anything? Okay, we have a guest.
Hello, everybody. My name is Billy Kitchian. I'm working with the Winnebago finance team and helping process all of the applications that have been received to date. We put out a notification today that all applications that were received through our email as of midnight on Friday, October 14th, will be processed. All applications that were postmarked as of October 12th will be processed, all for the October 25th and 26th disbursement date. We are still receiving many applications that are incomplete. We are receiving just the application page itself, but we do need to verify both tribal enrollment and identification. So if you submit a document that has your tribal ID, that has your name and your enrollment, that and the completed notarized application is all that's needed. If you submit your application with a tribal ID that doesn't have a picture or a document, then we also need a photo ID. We have been making phone calls and emails throughout the day with each application that we open. Some of them don't have phone numbers on them, or there aren't valid phone numbers on them. This week, we're beginning to send back incomplete applications that we have since notified. So unfortunately, we have not reached some of these tribal members, and they don't know that their application is incomplete because we don't have a better way to contact them. So that process will also begin this week.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Billy, and for jumping in and being really prompt with the follow-up. I know we feel bad that some people aren't going to have a check that day, but they didn't follow instructions. And we just have to impress upon them that they need their tribal ID and they need a photo ID to claim their check.
Yes.
Will they get it though once they do it?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
It's not a matter of they're losing out. Okay.
Up until the end of this year, December 31st is the cutoff to claim this money.
Okay.
So we'll have
on
to
your ID, your tribal ID.
tribal ID.
Do they have a method where you can replace the lost
Yes.
lost license?
Well, for the tribal ID, they can get another one of those, but,
$10
And they
money
issue
for it.
another ID,
Yeah.
yep.
'cause I lost mine.
But I do know the office isn't open every day, so I know that was a challenge too.
We are
Madam
encouraging.
Chair, one thing that they can do if they're not on site is to call the enrollment office on Tuesday or Thursday. And if they can just email enrollment their request, enrollment can email them back their certificate of degree of Indian blood. And that way they can attach it to their application form. So they don't have to, if they didn't get a tribal ID, they can get the certificate of Indian blood from enrollment, but they have to contact enrollment and request it. And then they can get it emailed right back to them.
Sounds good. So thank you for that recommendation, Lorelei. Coley?
Yeah. I thought it said if you didn't do the application, you can do it on site, same day, you'll get 2 cards.
If somebody hadn't complete the application at all and they come that day, they have the option to get 2 $500 gift cards, and then they won't get the check.
So even if they had they didn't do their application right, it's sitting on a file, can they still do another one on site day of and get 2 cards?
Yes.
Okay, I think, yeah, that'd be good. They should know that. So you will get it regardless, do your application on the day, and there'll be notaries there.
Yes,
Hopefully.
we'll have notaries on site, but
Okay.
their only option that day to walk away with payment would be the 2 Visa gift cards,
Two Visa
equaling the
cards.
1,000. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And the minor applications that come that day will have the cards on site, so that's fine. If it's,
Well, I guess thank you, Bill, for coming in, and thank you to the whole team that's taken on this burden of love and labor, and it is extra work, and we really appreciate you guys. With that, that concludes our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Eric.
Second.
Do we have second by, was that Brian?
Yes.
Second by Brian. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion? Motion carried 700. We're adjourned at 5:58. Thank you, council. Thank you, Garen. And thank you to the membership for tuning in. Have a good evening.